Sly Stone recorded I'm Gonna Take You Higher. This is a lady he was talking about, the beautiful Minnie Riperton.
Minnie Riperton has the distinction of being voted the most outstanding new female singer by all four major music publications. This is her latest.
Can you sing? Did you inherit that from your amazing
I sing,
mom?
yeah.
Can
I don't sing like her. No
Can you
one
hit
does.
That? Ah!
No.
She's a very talented woman. I think that she did not get the due recognition in her lifetime, which is...
She was a precious flower, a songbird whose voice was pure sunshine on the most beautiful day. Every song she sung, you felt the joy of her spirit shining through her voice. With a 5-and-a-half-octave vocal range and a unique ability to reach the highest register of the human voice with the ease of bird taking to flight, Minnie Riperton proved to be in a league of her own. To date, no one has managed to hit those insane notes like she did. Minnie may have looked and sounded like a sweet, fragile little thing, but she had the nerve of a matador and the bravery of a Wonder Woman. She's the only artist to have ever posed for pictures with a live lion, and not once, but twice. And even though on the second encounter, the lion mauled her, she wasn't scared at all. In fact, she says the lion just wanted to play with her.
I really didn't ever feel that he was going to hurt me, and it's obvious if he was going to hurt me, all he had to do was go off. And I think he just wanted to play.
On top of this, she was a natural beauty, blessed with a pure soul. She had a down-to-earth personality, was content but ambitious, very ambitious. She knew what she wanted and was ready to go all the way to get it. Even when life gave her lemons, she made lemonade out of them. Having been diagnosed with breast cancer and forced to undergo a radical mastectomy, she was given only 6 months to live. And instead of feeling sorry for herself and letting the agony get the better of her in the countdown to her final day, do you know what she did? She decided to use her platform to raise awareness about the disease, and even went to the extent of not disclosing she was terminally ill, just to pour some hope to the ill.
It happened that abruptly. I got cancer. I lost a breast. But I saved the rest of my life because I examined myself early. Now I'm healthy. I picked up my life where it left off.
It is to no surprise that the 6 months she was given to live turned to 3 years and 6 months. That's Minnie Riperton for you. Optimistic to the core.
And Minnie Riperton, the singer and songwriter best known for her 1975 recording of Loving You, died of cancer today in Los Angeles.
Finally succumbing to the disease in 1979 at a mere age of 31, she was truly an angel that God gave us for only a little while. By the way, did you know that breast cancer is the most common cancer among women? About 1/3 of those diagnosed, and it is believed that early detection does allow more than 90% of diagnosed patients to survive from the beginning. Creating awareness on the various factors that increase the risk of contracting the disease, like obesity and harmful use of alcohol, is important. But what's even more important is how early detection is a game changer in this fight, and the next sure way on how to defeat this monster. Remember, it is not the end of the road for you or your loved one. Together, we'll win this fight. Despite Minnie Riperton's undeniable talent and an incomparable positive spirit, she rarely gets the flowers she deserves, and her story still remains largely untold, unlike other artists from her era. To ensure her spirit is kept alive, like this video, share it, to enable it reach a greater audience, and subscribe to our channel for more videos on the same. It's about time the world recognizes her immense contributions to the music industry. From the highs of her vocal range to the lows of her troubles and tribulations, this is the raw, untold story of Minnie Riperton. Minnie Julia Riperton was born on November 8, 1947 at 546 East Oakwood Boulevard in Chicago, Illinois, as the youngest of 8 children to Daniel Webster Riperton, a Pullman porter, and Thelma Matthews, a domestic worker who surprisingly had graduated from Russ College in Mississippi as an English major, but was forced to shelve her ambitions after failing to land a job in Chicago. Minnie's birth came too quick that her mother didn't even get the time to go to hospital, forcing her to deliver Minnie at home. As a child, Minnie was the jovial and energetic type. She would always want to sing and dance for everyone, be it family, friends, or in the numerous contests which her sisters involved her in. Minnie attended Oakland Grammar School around the Oakland neighborhood, where she started modern dance lessons at the age of 3, followed by ballet lessons at 5. At 8 years old, Minnie and her family moved to the Woodlawn area, a place that proved pivotal in her life. With all the explorations at her disposal, music was something that seemed inevitable for her, with her mother serving as the biggest influence. Mama Thelma's forced relegation to domestic work didn't take away what was inside her. Just for the record, she had also studied voice, sang, and played the piano. And so to ensure that this gift didn't die just as her career ambitions failed to kickstart, she made it her aim to pass down this tremendous gift of music and arts to her kids. She encouraged each child to take up an instrument or to sing. At age 9, Minnie joined the Sixth Grace Presbyterian Church Choir, where her mother was an active member, and it is here that her family noticed her special vocal quality. A year later, they signed her up for theater and opera training at the Lincoln Center, music, drama, and dance being her main areas. Her natural gift made her a favorite in class, with Marian Jeffrey, her operatic vocal training teacher, more than impressed by her ability. With Marian Jeffrey, a talented and passionate Minnie was in the perfect hands to nurture her gift. In Minnie's words, Jeffrey taught her a lot. She first practiced breathing and phrasing, with particular emphasis on diction. Jeffrey then trained her to use her full range. While studying under Jeffrey, she sang operettas and show tunes in preparation for a career in opera. Jeffrey was so convinced of her pupil's abilities that she strongly pushed her to further study the classics at Chicago's Junior Lyric Opera. But a young, high-spirited Minnie was showing more interest in modern music, particularly soul and psychedelic rock. This training served her well as she proceeded to Hyde Park High School, where she immediately joined the school's a cappella choir in her freshman year, something that had never been done by the school before, whose eligibility began from sophomore. Away from that, the Gems, a girl group at Chess Records, was looking to replace Van Dyne Harris, who had left the group. The director of the school's a cappella choir, Jerome Ramsfield, introduced Riperton to Raynard Miner, a talented blind pianist and songwriter for Chess Records, who was also a member of the group. The minute he heard Riperton sing with the choir, he knew he had found something special. At just 15 years, Raynard Miner and Rose Miller, manager of the group, recruited Minnie to join the Gems. The Gems had a relatively limited commercial success, but proved to be a good outlet for Riperton's talent. Eventually, the group became a session group known as the Studio 3, and it was during this period that they provided the backing vocals on the classic 1965 Fontella bass hit Rescue Me. In 1964, the Gems released a local hit, I Can't Help Myself. And their last single, He Makes Me Feel So Good, was released in 1965. The Gems later released records under numerous names, most notably 1966's Baby I Want You by the Girls 3 and 1967's My Baby's Real by the Starlets. That was their last recording together, and Riperton's final recording as part of a girl group. The Gems might have faded, but Riperton's obvious talent and sunny personality had made her a favorite at Chess Records, where she had also worked as the front door receptionist and part-time secretary in her after-school hours. She was taken under the wing of Billy Davis, a major figure in the music industry, who was the A&R director for Chess from 1961 to 1968, and the architect of the label's success with soul bands in the 60s. Davis was impressed by Riperton's remarkable singing range, and was even more impressed when she stood in for an ill Etta James for a gig on the Chitlin circuit. So he took it upon himself to guide her career. Together with Sugar Pie DeSanto, Billy Davis wrote the teen ballad Lonely Girl to showcase Riperton's range, pairing it with the more upbeat You Gave Me Soul and co-producing the record with Chess stalwart Leonard Caston Jr. When it came to the name on the record cover, Davis decided that it should be an alias and thought that Andrea Davis, an ode to him, was a more showbiz name. The melismatic charge of Lonely Girl took advantage of the song's minor tonalities, which were arranged by Charles Stepney. The record was played regularly on Chicago radio station WVON, which was owned by Leonard and Phil Chess, and the single enjoyed some local success. In the immediate aftermath, Riperton carried on singing backing vocals for bands, including as part of Ray Charles's Raylettes, and continued to act as Chess receptionist. It has often been reported that she was happy with the alias given to her and had liked the way it honored her mentor Davis. But the truth is a little less pure or simple. Riperton was young when the record was made, and it is alleged she later told friends that it had been issued under the Andrea Davis pseudonym against her wishes. Many believe that her dislike of phoniness might have been the reason behind this. Nevertheless, she managed to graduate from Hyde Park High School and immediately enrolled at the Loop College, but dropped out after just 3 weeks in order to pursue music full-time. Her ability to juggle between music, school, and work part-time showcased her zeal and desire to succeed in the industry. She wanted to be a star and nothing was going to stand in her way. And on this road to stardom, her determination pushed her to live many lives in the years between 1964 to 1970, including that of a model. What began with the request of Chess Records to take a trip to the Cleo Johnson School of Charm and Modeling turned into a short-lived career as a model. On top of using modeling to supplement her income from recording and backing sessions, she also did voice work for television and commercials.
And I was upgrading all my studio work. I did a lot of radio and television commercials and made a nice living on it. I was still a young lady, and I had my own apartment, and I had my own money, and I was not doing too bad, and I was enjoying it.
Away from this, with Chess Records facing problems such as being sued and whatnot, together with her frustrations for being forced to record under a name against her wishes, a new opportunity came and she quickly jumped on it. Marshall Chess, the son of Leonard Chess, formed Cadet Concept Records, with an aim of focusing on music outside of the blues and rock genres, which had made the Chess label popular. He turned his attention to the burgeoning psychedelic movement and managed to convince Minnie Riperton to join his Rotary Connection, a group that also consisted of Judy Hoff, Sidney Barnes, and Charles Stepney as the other members. The band released their self-titled debut album in late 1967 and, subsequently, 5 more albums. 1968's Aladdin and Christmas album, Peace Songs, 1969, Dinner Music, 1970, and Hey Love, 1971. However, Riperton left Rotary Connection in 1969 to pursue a solo career, frustrated at Rotary Connection's lack of commercial success. She released her debut solo album entitled Come to My Garden, an album produced, arranged, as well as orchestrated by her Rotary Connection bandmate, Charles Stepney, and released in 1970 by GRT Records. Several of the songs were co-written by Stepney and Richard Rudolph, who married Riperton in August 1970. On top of these two great talents, the album also boasted stellar accompaniment, from Phil Upchurch on guitar, Ramsey Lewis on piano, to Earth, Wind & Fire's Maurice White on drums. The lineup was indeed a dream team. Despite this, the album failed to sell well at the time, but ever since, it has been recognized as one of the finest albums ever produced. Frustrated by the failure of the album, Minnie came to the realization that no matter how hard she worked, her true potential wasn't going to materialize as long as she was within Chicago, her hometown. Looking at it through her lenses, it looks like she was beginning to believe in the old myth that if you want more out of life, then you have to get out of your hometown. I mean, she had done anything and everything over the years, and yet nothing seemed to come into being. Many would have argued that at 24 years, she was really impatient and needed to keep putting in the work. But Minnie had her reasons. She had given his mind, body, and soul to everything she laid her hands on over the years, and yet there seemed to be no sight of the light at the end of the tunnel. So she requested her husband Rudolph to get her out of Chicago. They packed up and left, first arriving in New York, where talks with Columbia and Buddha Records didn't materialize, before finally settling in Gainesville, Florida, where their righteous disillusionment led them to semi-retire from the industry. During this time, they added their second child, Maya Rudolph, in 1972, after having their first 4 years earlier. While Richard worked odd jobs, including the weekend disc jockey on radio, Minnie concentrated on raising the children at home. Just for the record, Minnie didn't see herself as a failure. In fact, she wasn't afraid of failure. Her courageous personality of walking away from things that no longer served her right, and her stout-heartedness to voice her opinion whenever she sensed exploitation, were the things that were seen as somewhat hard to work with by most label owners. Her story looked to have ended here, but fate intervened. While still living a quiet life as a homemaker, Steve Slutza, a college intern for Epic Records, who'd been stunned by a Rotary show, tracked her down. After he heard demos of the songs Minnie and Richard had written together, he took the tape to Don Ellis, the VP of A&R for Epic. Ellis liked what he heard. Subsequently, Minnie Riperton signed to Epic Records. She was then asked who she wanted to produce her first album with the label. She only had one guy in mind, in the name Stevie Wonder. The two had met once before at the 1971 Black Expo in Chicago, where Minnie was singing with Quincy Jones. Minnie saw Stevie Wonder backstage and decided to use that opportunity to approach him. In an account given by Minnie, she says she went over to him and whispered in his ear, telling him to keep up the good work. Stevie in turn asked her who she was, and she introduced herself. To her surprise, Stevie was a huge fan of her Come to My Garden album and said to her that he so wanted to work with her one day, and that day couldn't have come at a better time. A time when Minnie was desperately trying to revive her stalled career. The only problem remained how to reach him. While Minnie and her family were around town looking for ways to reach the ever-busy Stevie, her manager's friend named Alfie Switzer stopped by. He heard that they were looking to link up and work with Stevie Wonder. Luckily, Alfie used to be his agent and even used to walk him on stage. Without wasting time, he was on phone with Stevie, and before you know it, he handed Minnie the phone. 30 seconds later, Minnie hanged up and said Stevie wanted her down at the studio right away, as he wanted her to sing on something. It turned out to be background vocals on It Ain't No Use from Fulfillness, First Finale, with Denise Williams and Lonnie Groves. Later, Minnie would be more prominently featured on classic Creepin'. Stevie Wonder felt honored when Minnie told him she wanted him to help in producing her album.
They did tell me that they were looking for a deal at that particular time, and they said that they wanted for me to produce the album. Of course, it was my honor to do that because I was a great fan of hers ever since I...
Fearing Motown wouldn't allow him to work on the project, he suggested he'd only produce it under the pseudonym El Toro Negro and have Richard Rudolph as co-producer. Long story short, on August 9, 1974, the album Perfect Angel was released by Epic Records. Their optimism about its success was quickly deemed as people didn't receive it the way they expected. While the album represented Riperton's eclectic musical directions, it posed a marketing dilemma with the label, whether she was a rock, soul, or pop singer. The song Reasons performed poorly together with other songs on the album, but it was up until during their tours that the album gained huge traction from an unlikely source. A track from the album's Side B, the song Lovin' You. One funny thing about this song is that it was added to the album to get the album closer to the industry standard of a 40-minute runtime. What's even funnier is that the song was originally written to soothe their infant daughter Maya's restlessness so that Minnie and Richard could spend some grown-ups time. The song went on to top the U.S. pop singles chart for 1 week in early April 1975 and 24 other countries. The album went gold, and Riperton was finally revered as the lady with the high voice and flowers in her hair. Following the success of the album, Epic wanted a follow-up disc and wanted it fast. With Stevie Wonder busy on his own projects, the couple hired Stuart Levine to co-produce her next album, titled Adventures in Paradise. Released in May 1975, the album rose to number 5 on the Billboard Top Soul Albums chart and number 18 on the Billboard 200 chart, but failed to match their previous album. The album also came with its fair share of problems right from the word go. To begin with, while shooting a promotional clip for the album, Minnie was attacked by a lion, but luckily, she wasn't seriously injured. In fact, Minnie even joked that the lion just wanted to play with her.
And it's obvious if he was going to hurt me, all he had to do was go off. And I think he just wanted to play.
The second problem came as a result of one of the tracks in the album, the R&B hit Inside My Love. A number of radio stations refused to play it, citing that it was filled with double entendres due to the lyrics, "Will you come inside me?" Even though Minnie tried to explain that they took it out of proportion, it was too late. Fast forward to January of 1976, while in Sun Valley on her last day of shooting Flip Wilson's Winter Olympics TV special, Minnie felt a lump on one of her breasts. On diagnosis, it was discovered to be breast cancer and that the cancer had metastasized to the lymphatic system, forcing her to undergo a radical mastectomy. As if that wasn't enough, she was given about 6 months to live. She had many questions in her mind at the time. She didn't smoke, she ate and lived right. She was really confused. While drowning in her endless thoughts, something happened that changed everything. She was advised to stay silent about her condition so as not to jeopardize her career, something that didn't sit well with her soul. If that was the stigma those with the disease were facing, and that they would rather the disease eat the patients up in silence rather than speak up, to hell with jeopardizing her career. She was going to change the narrative, even if it meant putting her career at risk. After all, she had 6 months to live, right? Every day from that point on was about living, not dying. She became among the first and most passionately vocal spokespersons for breast cancer awareness. As a result, she received the American Cancer Society's Courage Award, presented to her by President Jimmy Carter in a ceremony at the White House. On top of this, she loved her kids and husband in an intense way, showing them nothing but love. She went on to release her next album, Stay in Love, in 1977, and also continued touring, entertaining her fans and spreading awareness in every chance she got. One touching thing is that she never disclosed that she was terminally ill for a couple of reasons. She wanted to give hope to other patients in her position and also ensure that her fans put their energy in enjoying her music and not feeling sorry for her. However, as 1979 began, the energy in her was quickly running out and her death seemed imminent. During the recording of her final non-posthumous album, Minnie, her cancer progressed to the point that she was in a great deal of pain. Extreme lymphedema immobilized her right arm in early 1979. In her final singing appearances on television, most notably on The Mike Douglas Show, her right arm remained in a fixed position during her performances. By mid-June, she was confined to bed. She entered Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on July 10th. Around 10 a.m. on the morning of July 12, 1979, Minnie Riperton died wrapped in the loving arms of her husband. She was listening to a cassette of a song Stevie Wonder had personally delivered to Cedars-Sinai Hospital the evening before, written and recorded especially for her. She was only 31 years old. That Sunday, following a funeral service attended by more than 500 mourners, Minnie Riperton was interred in the Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles. It is no doubt that her strength of character and positivity heavily played in defying her life expectancy odds, turning the 6 months to live to 3 years and 6 months. Her work was never a purely commercial endeavor. Right or wrong, she wanted things her way, and she was doing it for all the right reasons. If we can put something positive or right in the world just like she advocated, then this world become a better place. It starts with you. To ensure her spirit is kept alive, do like this video, share it, to enable it reach a greater audience, and subscribe to our channel for more videos on the same. A hidden treasure, a phenomenal, never will there be another Minnie. Till we meet again, perfect angel.
Minnie, you are some kind of singer, sweetie pie. When you go up to that real high thing, it just does, well, it does funny things to you.